United, we can enable success. When we reach out a hand to one, we influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united. Give, advocate, volunteer.
I'm Don. I'm the mayor of Oak Ridge. I volunteer for United Way and other agencies in my community.
I'm Judy. I volunteer for the Upper Willamette Community Development Corporation, a United Way agency, as well as other agencies in our community.
Well, I grew up in the Midwest, and I was heavily influenced by events of the 1960s. And I think those events convinced me that you simply must be an active part of your community.
I might go to Lowell at 7:30 in the morning. Don might have a meeting at 3 in the afternoon, and then I might have a Commission on Children and Families meeting at 5:30.
That's why we have to sit down on a regular basis and compare calendars.
We have a restaurant that we go to in Oak Ridge, and they make fun of us for sitting there with our calendars while we're trying to eat and talk about where we're supposed to be on any given day.
I'd say have the courage to do it. Have the confidence. You have the ability to help people. You don't need to be an expert in any given area. You just need to be willing to do it and take the risk. It's not a big risk. You just have to be willing to take a chance on helping someone.
And it's not a question of time. You could spend 5 minutes with a child, and that would be effort well worth the time. Anything you do with or for a child or with or for a family at any time, at any point in their lives is important, and it's important to them.
And both being school people, we've had numbers of students come back and tell us the impact that people have had on their lives, and particularly us in some cases. So I think it's true of just people in your community. You may be helping them, you may not think it's a big deal, but to them at that point in their life could be a very big deal.
We're Don and Judy,
and that's how we live united.
Well, I'm Juan Carlos, and I am first and foremost a member of the community, and I happen to work at Social Security Administration, and I also volunteer at other agencies throughout the community. But what I'm going to tell you personally is that you can use me as an example. After finishing GED, although it was a great program, I didn't have any place to go, but I wanted to stay in the community. So I was homeless for a few months, sleeping on the bridges and getting food here and there. Somebody along the line invested in me. A nonprofit organization decided to help me by giving me food and shelter, decided to invest in me through the community. They decided to help me in hopes that someday I will give back to the community, that I will take those skills, convert them to something, whether it's formal education or I contribute to the economy, and I'm no longer homeless. And I will turn around, either create jobs or help others. If I have the skills and the ability and I am in the right place to offer my voice for those who may not have that voice. I'm not speaking for them, but I take the opportunity to encourage people to see things from their point of view because I've been there. So I feel like it is my responsibility in a way to pay back, and I call that advocacy. I think people in Eugene are more in touch with human needs. They care about the well-being of its people. So if they see somebody who's hungry, they want to find a way to feed them. They want to find a way to educate them, to support them. They want to find a way to enable agencies, whether small or large, to continue to do their things. United Way enables small agencies to succeed. But that's truly a reflection of the community, the people. They see a need and they find ways to meet those needs. I'm Juan Carlos, and that's how I live united.
I'm Julie. I live in Cresswell. I'm a meter reader at eWeb, and I'm a leadership giver. Probably the first I ever heard of United Way was at one of my first jobs. I just made a one-time donation just because I should. I knew that everybody needed to help. So I was too financially afraid to sign up for payroll deduction. And then I finally did, and I survived that, so I upped it a little bit. And that's kind of how I found out about United Way, was just through working at a company that had payroll deduction. In my conversation with my dad, he told me that the entire 30 years he'd worked at Weyerhaeuser, that he had given through payroll donation. And I was kind of shocked because we were sometimes, not having much money. And he told me that the way he saw it, his employer paid him twice a day to sit down for 15 minutes and do nothing. And that he decided that he would take that 15 minutes, but one of those 15-minute periods he was going to give away to help someone else. And I thought, that's how I'm going to figure out how much I'm going to donate. And I've always felt like I should volunteer, but I work full-time. I have a little side job training dogs, teaching obedience lessons. And then I have this hobby of the sport that I do with my own 2 dogs. And I've just never had time really to volunteer, but I felt like I needed to do something. So I decided I would do what my dad did. And 15 minutes a day made me a leadership giver. Over the years, my parents have helped me out intermittently, loaning me their car when my car broke down. There have been times when my dad came and towed me in the middle of the night, and I just one time told my dad, "How will I ever pay you back?" And he told me, "You never will. It just won't be possible. But what you will do is the same thing that I've done." He said, "You'll help someone else." I'm Julie, and that's how I live united.